Well, that's a big kick in the knickers. Well, I had hoped the next video on this 48 Chevy would be the windshield video, but just a little bit of a setback. Broke one of the new pieces of glass. I don't know exactly what's going on. I believe whatever the problem, it is why it came in with an old brake. It is just so doggone tight inside that opening. I don't know. I'm having a local glass shop cut them just slightly smaller, and because it just goes in way too hard. But I will go over that in that video when it happens, and it will happen because I will not give up on it. Now, and neither should you. If you are wanting to do something yourself, but you're afraid, don't be afraid. It's your car. Yes, you may have a delay in time. Yes, sometimes it may cost a little bit more money. But learn something new, for goodness sakes. Anyway, exhaust pipe time. I want to get this thing on the ground, and I would prefer to do it before we finish tackling the windshield anyway. Kind of sick and tired of it being way up in the air. Exhaust shops, like everything else that I love, are going away. I called one kind of close to back home where I grew up, and these guys keep a file of cards, at least they used to, that would say for a 48 Chevy you need this size of pipe and so many inches bend at this degree, so many inches bend at this degrees. Well, the guy I called, he only went back to 1949. So I said, go ahead and bend it and we'll modify it from there. So I was hoping it would be very close. I don't know the exact difference, you know. So 49 would have been considered a new design. The frame was basically the same thing, same style anyway. Engine, manifolds coming towards the back on the exhaust wouldn't or shouldn't have been that much different. Wheelbase, I think, got a little smaller in 49, but the man left plenty of pipe on both ends. So I fully expected to have to modify something. I hope it doesn't get too serious, as long as it heads towards the gap between the spare tire well and the fuel tank. And then at the back end on these 48s, it looks like it went at a 45-degree angle around the back side of the spare tire well. And so I may have to get a little creative. I could put in a new exhaust pipe hanger and just run the pipe straight out the back, but I may see if I can get that to bend. If I fail completely, I can buy a 45-degree bend and weld it on and go that route. So to begin with, let's start snaking this thing under there and see if we can get it anywhere near it needs to go. And I'm going to try to avoid doing that. Alright, I've got her stuck in here just so I could compare, and I think it's going to come out okay for the most part. I've got the center of the hump hanging on the rear axle. I can show you that later. I'm going to cut quite a bit off here at the back end of the muffler. maybe 4 inches ahead of this bend, and that'll give me plenty of overlap. So I've got to undo this muffler clamp. Hopefully it will undo. I sprayed it a little earlier. Alright. Here's your one chance, Fancy. Don't let me down. Oh. Good girl. Edit that out. Oh, nice. Now if you follow that red jack stand up and towards us a little bit more, you can see the outlet of the muffler, and that comes up in line pretty much with this gap between the tank and the well for the spare tire. So I need that pipe to come straight back to here, and then our hanger is on a 45-degree angle between this gap. And I knew as soon as I saw it, when I picked up this tailpipe, that we were going to have a little bit of a problem, but nothing we can't deal with. So, you know, roughly our tailpipe is coming along straight line in the wood flooring here. And then on that end it goes cattywampus up that way, which I'm really surprised there's that much of a difference. But anyway, as soon as I saw it, I knew we'd have to take some of that out. So let's take some of that out. Right, I'm going to take about an additional 3 inches off the end, and that should get the muffler end very close. So now, if a guy wants a 45 in here, got our protractor angle finder thingy set to 45. Got one leg through the exhaust hanger, one leg lined up on the pipe. So that bend needs to be centered right there. Don't judge me too harshly, boys. I can't stand doing stuff like this. I want it to be perfect, even though the car is not perfect, as you can tell. but I just want to do things right. And in the case of this tailpipe, it's just not going to happen. Like I said, I had to call a muffler shop 2 hours away, and he bent it for a 49 because that was the oldest information he had, and we're modifying that to work. I've got a closer muffler shop. It's 40 miles away, but he's only there part-time during the middle of the day. I can't get to him. He doesn't have a card for anything this old at all, and I could take this in, and he would be happy to put a 45-degree bend in here, but you know, you keep putting it off and putting it off. At the end of the day, the rest of the exhaust system isn't stock either. You know, we're hooking this up to the Thrush or the Cherry Bomb glass pack the guys had in there since the 60s, and I think he'd like to keep it that way, to be honest. So I'm going to notch it, and I'm going to weld it back up. It'll work just fine. It's not a nice little radius bend, and that bugs me to no end, but eventually you got to say, I've got to get this done. And I would love to have the tools. A guy just never has all the tools he wants, does he? There's always something else. I would love to have a tubing bender capable of doing this, but I don't. So we're going to notch it, and we're going to weld it, and it's going to work just fine. And a guy may want to turn the gas on. The inert gas part works better if there's inert gas. Okay, let's take a look at what we got now. I've got the front end, I don't know if you can see it way up there, kind of dark, butted up against the back of the muffler. And this is sitting about 2 inches lower than it will be. Here's our hanger. I'm going to pull that off next and clean the old tailpipe out of it and get that working again. And we can raise it up, put it in there, and I think I may just leave all of this. There's some debate in my mind at the moment as to how this looked. I don't recall that offhand, how the outlet looked under here. But yeah, we're looking pretty good. So, I wonder if I can just spray this down, loosen that, and see what happens. I know I can. I don't know why I'm asking you. Okay, well there we go. I got her welded up, clamped back down after the little glass pack there. Going over the axle, plenty of clearance between the axle and the floor. Ow! Oh, come on. And coming back with our 45 between the tank and the wheel well there for the spare tire, the hanger, and on out. Got about 3/4 of an inch clearance between the bumper and the pipe. Looks like I need to round that out again. Kind of want to chop that off halfway down at an angle. Hey, let me know what you think of this. If you thought this was just a straight piece going out at an angle, if it turned and went to the left, you know, just what exactly it would have looked like back in 48. I need to do a little more research and figure that out for myself, but I'd always be interested in knowing what you think. But I'm going to call this part of the job done. Let's move on to something else.
Hey, wait a minute. Look at this. Yeah, that's pretty bad. You know, I don't feel safe riding around on a tire like that.
I don't blame you. That could get you in a lot of trouble.
Maybe I'd better change it.
I would if I were you.
Now, I don't know if you noticed during the beginning of this video when working on the tailpipe, a lot of oil on the floor, and that is from the steering box has a leak. Now that we put fresh oil in it, it didn't want to stay in, so our sector shaft seal is out, and pitman arm is coming off hard, but I'm getting it, I believe. So I'm going to put a puller on there now, see if we can. Well, that just about took an act of Congress. That is, if that meant anything anymore. And the new seal looks like it should be the right one, so I'll see if I can get that one popped out of there. Oh, that's nice. It's never easy, is it? Oh, okay. Come on now. There you go. Okay, I am putting in a Timken 50151S. .30mm deep well. Pop that right in. Just gonna double check we're seated here lightly with a punch. I would say that new seal is about half the thickness of the original. So it goes up there quite a bit farther. Now, we do have two main splines, it looks like, and they're opposite of each other. Okay, let's see if I can get a shot here. Okay, they are there. Just a matter of clocking this right. There you go. I knew you wanted to. Washer. And the nut. Looks like I already ordered him a new tailpipe hanger and didn't even use it. Ha! Well, guess I can buy that back. I already bought this Carter W1 from him. He's got spare shock absorbers in here. Looks like they're all, yeah, four rear shock absorbers. I'll see what he wants to do with those. Some old parts. Well, it's so nice to get the old lady back down on all four wheels again. That's going to make continuing on the windshield so much easier. So as promised, I think we're going to move on to the door seals. I'll show you what we're dealing with here. Well, it looks like he tore this one off here, but because that was flopping and loose. But yeah, this stuff is just shot.
Yes, sir? I want to put a new battery in my car. Yes, sir? Do you have any batteries? What kind of car? 49 Plymouth. Just a minute. What kind of car was it? A 49 Plymouth. Well, we got one battery at $28 and one at $22. Well, what's the difference? Well, one's better than the other. Look, that one on top's a $28 one. The one below is a $22 one.
Oh, do I get anything in my old battery?
Well, I think you get $2.50 for it. I think.
Sounds like we need to take a 5-minute break. Maybe get a glass of water, quick EKG. Just saying. Anyway, I am going to go through what I do on old weather stripping. Now, a lot of this is just already, well, okay, you can do that. Normally, on glued-on weather stripping, I would heat it up, slowly pull it off, and hopefully get as much as that adhesive as I could to come with it. Then I go to the next step. This stuff, I'm still going to do that from the remainder of the door. But the adhesive has just absolutely been hosed on this thing through the years. There is so much of it. Now that we got that off and as much as we can scrape off, I'm going to throw some 3M General Purpose Adhesive Cleaner 08987 onto it and just give it a good soaking, and I'm going to leave it. Judging by the wrinkles on the can, this thing's had a few trips around the sun, but I think it's still okay. Alright, we're going to let that soak for a while. So this vehicle's especially bad. It's got just thick stuff. And I can see black, I can see yellow, who knows how many times it's been added. And probably the last time it was done is maybe in the 60s, maybe in the 70s, I don't know. This thing was parked in the 80s. But yeah, there's a lot. So I sprayed it on I waited a few minutes, let that soak in and start to soften that adhesive up. Then I sprayed it again. Now it's been a few minutes again. And this stuff, a lot of times that'll be acceptable for your situation. But what I've resorted to on this is VME naphtha thinner. That is actually in the manual, and it does not take away. This is the old lacquer paint. This is not the original color. You'll see the original color in a bit. But this is still old lacquer paint, and this naphtha thinner does not take it off. Of course, if you have any questions or doubts, try it for yourself or just stick to the adhesive remover. So from here on in, my weapons of choice are my thinner, soft bristle brush, plastic scraper, plastic razor blade. And just do what comes naturally. Now eventually this stuff's going to start looking like the Kleenex's worst nightmare. So I'm just going to take a blue rag, wipe her off. You know, a guy can get in here, plastic razor blade, plastic scraper, or just keep soaking it down, brushing it. You know what to do. Well guys, I've probably spent about an hour so far scrubbing this stuff. I've gone from the bottom corner up and around, and I'm about to here roughly. I might go back over this really thick original stuff again. Here's that original green. So the thing I constantly have to be going over in my mind is how much I should do, or how far I should go. This is someone else's vehicle. Now, if it was my own vehicle, or if I was working for someone that said spare no expense, then yeah, I could spend 8 hours getting adhesive off. But in this case, neither one happens to be the case on this vehicle. It is someone else's, and he does care how much money we wrap up in this thing. So I've got it mostly down to the original, to the sheet metal, the original paint. What black you do see is original adhesive, but it is smooth surface again. I've got all the big chunks, you know, no foam left on it, and the new adhesive would have no problem sticking to that. So that's where I'm going to leave this. Now, if you want to just keep going, if you want to spend a week, go for it. Absolutely. You're just going to have to keep soaking it, using thinner or adhesive cleaner, keep scrubbing it, keep scraping it. Actually, scraping does not help at this point anymore. But it's just getting covered back up, so you won't see any of this anyway, and that is not at all going to be detrimental to sticking the new stuff back on. So just thought I'd give you a little update there. I'm actually going to go in for the evening, and we'll finish this up tomorrow. Alright, I've gotten to the point where I'm happy with it. I know it's going to stick. It's nice and smooth. It doesn't look like much, I admit, but it doesn't need to, because we're covering it right back up. Went to Chevs of the 40s and they sell this weather stripping by the foot. I think I ordered, I don't know, 30 feet of it, something like that. So I'm going to measure it out, and I'm going to cut off maybe half a foot more than I need. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter of the door here. Okay, then add about 6 inches. Whack her off. Then I need one for the other side, so we might as well just copy this. There we go. Okay, we're getting there. I've donned my surgical gloves. I've got some black weather strip adhesive. This happens to be Loctite. I have a tube of Permatex, but it's yellow, and I prefer the black just because it's black. 3M is obviously another good brand to get. Now this is a long piece of weather stripping, and hopefully the only danger is getting it stuck to itself. I should probably go get help, but I'm going to try it stubbornly on my own. So the first thing I'm going to do is start running a very thin line where I need it, and then I'm going to spread it with the instrument God gave you. Alright, I'm trying to keep moving here. You can see I've got the weather stripping laid out along the workbench. I'm just going to do the same thing. Alright, she's getting tacky, so I better get my acting gear here. I think this part I'm only going to do a section at a time. And just add a little bit more here. So where people often get this stuff wrong is they just glob it on, you know. And hey, I've been there. I've done that. And you more or less have to treat it like contact cement. And then running a thin layer just before you install, I think kind of remelts the adhesive that you've already put on there. And really makes it want to stick to itself. Almost there. Just got to follow that metal piece attached to the door there. Alright, I'm going to try to close it on it. Hopefully we don't mess anything up too bad. Pardon me, friend, but you got something showing there.
Keep that thing in, bud.
Okay, time for the big reveal. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Seems to look like weather stripping that's stuck on there all right. It's a shame how wrinkly it got in packaging, but that'll more than likely work out as it takes shape with the door being closed. Just get it. Ow! Alright. There's also a weather stripping, a rubber flap basically that gets clipped on underneath. This one is missing. I'm going to let the owner deal with that because he gave me a list of things to finish. That's all he wanted to do, and so that's what I'm doing. I think we'll let this cure even more. There are just little bits of adhesive running out. I will take care of that later. Clean that up a little bit. Overall, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Well, guys, that's about it. Only one more job left to do on the car, and we're going to say bye-bye to this one. Now, I called the glass shop the other day, and there was a recorded message that they were shut down because of a certain illness. And they weren't going to be open till, this is Friday, they're not going to be open till Monday. And they were already backed up when I took my good piece of glass in there for their pattern. So I don't know when it's going to happen, but I'm just going to keep hoping and praying it's soon. Now, I promised you show and tell last time. So, if you remember the 66 Chevy pickup with the 292 project we did, if you haven't watched it, hey, go back and check it out. It was a lot of fun. Ben in St. Louis reached out to me. He has a similar project, and he wanted to send me a thank you, and he asked me who my favorite musicians were, because he's a photographer and goes around snapping pictures at concerts. And for some reason, he didn't have like Glenn Miller or Doris Day in his repertoire there, you know. I mentioned a few other, I got a little newer, you know, I got into the 70s, you know, and then, well, I was a bit of a Metallica head in high school. I have grown up since then. No, I'm just kidding. And he had been to a Metallica concert. So there we have James. If I can, Kurt. And Lars. And new Jason. Sorry, Jake, that tells you how old my time is with Metallica. I haven't listened to them since Jason left. So, anyway. Thanks a lot, Ben. I don't know if you still watch, if you watch these other projects. But anyway, and you don't need to send me anything. The other thing, I was on the old eBay machine, and I saw what I believed was a quart can of Marvel Mystery Oil. And as you know, I'm a big fan of Marvel Mystery Oil. So something like this, but it was not this graphic. This is what I'm used to seeing Marvel Mystery come in, but it was a round oil can in what I believed was a quart. And when I got it in the mail, this is what I got. And I had to laugh because it's so cute. I actually like it more than if it was a quart can. So I imagine that was a one-shot, poured in the tank or down the oil into the engine, one-time deal, still full. So that was funny. I laughed. Third, I've been trying to come up with some new products as I'm working on projects, and I need tooling that you can't hardly find anymore. And I'm specifically talking like Kentmore special tools that would have been available to dealerships back in the day. The first one I came up with, and someone actually reached out and asked if I had these for sale. You can find them on eBay. This is a Chevrolet 3-speed. So the Chevrolet synchronized 3-speed in the old 6-cylinder powered cars. This is the mount to put it in the vise and work on it. So if you go back and watch my videos on rebuilding a Chevrolet 3-speed, I have a similar deal. This is a much more refined one. Have those available on eBay. Search for a Kentmore J934. I have it under a different name, but because it's my own design, my own interpretation. Then the next thing I'm coming up with is the front cover oil seal, front cover, timing cover seal for Chevrolet 6-cylinders. The centering tool, I don't know what they call it. So just a piece of plastic pipe, keyway in it, a grip for your hand, slide it on the crankshaft, you center your timing cover on there, and bolt it down, then pull this out. This will fit from 37 all the way up, and it'll actually even fit the first gen small block Chevys. Sorry, I'm tripping over my own tongue here. So your 216s, 235s, 261s, 230s, 250s, 292s get into your early small block Chevys. 350s does not work for their first big blocks, you know, they had a different size seal. But all of those early 37 and up 6-cylinders, and then the early 8s. But the 8s have dowel pins, so they aren't necessary, but you can still use it if you want. I don't have those up on eBay yet. I can let you know when they are, but that is coming. So, anyway, by the way, what would you want to pay for that? Thinking maybe 5 cents? Don't know if I can handle that. But anyway, that is all I have for you. I hope the windshield is coming soon. Corvair project, I'm really itching to get back onto my 86 GMC at work. And then I just went and visited some folks about working on some other vehicles. So there is going to be stuff to do around here. So thank you so much for joining me for just this little while. I am honored that you even do at all. I hope you were a little bit entertained. Maybe you learned a little bit. I know I always do. Even as I'm doing it, I keep relearning things is the problem. Anyway, thanks again. God bless you guys. I hope you have a great day. We'll see you on the next one.